Good morning, everyone. How are you? No, come on, ICCA. This is the final day. You can do better than that. How are you? That sounded exactly the same. I am delighted to join you here, and as you've heard, my name is David Mead, and my primary career was always as a university lecturer. And in that role, these are the type of things that I looked at. Decision making. What is it that makes a great decision? One that you can stand by not only at the point at which you make it, but across the entire life of that decision. Decisions are the oxygen of great teams, organizations, and individuals. And if we're not making and taking them all the time, we're already starting to slow down. And in times of change, our decisions tend to slow down. That's what tends to happen when you make that tiny little decision in your office and CC everyone in the Western Hemisphere, so that 9 years from now, if it comes to bite you in the backside, you can say, well, I CC'd you about that at the time and you didn't get back to me, so I think we're both going to jail. Motivation and engagement. Two employees on the same desk, on the same pay scale, looking out the same window, but for some reason performing dramatically differently. Persuasion and sales is about 60% of my work. I teach individuals and organizations how to hear the word yes more often when they ask for things. Change is a big topic in my field. Body language interpretation, which I have already started in this room and will diagnose all manner of fairly deep-seated emotional and relationship issues by the time my session finishes. Sir, man there sitting in the 6th row, arms crossed, pissed off, pick me and I'll kill you look on his face. I used to do kids' birthday parties for girls like you, sir. And goals and planning. Did you know that some goals, just by the way that we write them and communicate them inside or outside of our organization, are dramatically more or less likely to be achieved? I call these mindful business skills or soft skills. The reason I do is it doesn't matter how long you have been in your role. It doesn't matter what your responsibility is. You will leave this session with something that you can use. And it's a really short session. I only have you for 4.5 hours. By the end, I promise you, you will leave with things that you can practically apply and employ. And I am an event professional. My primary career as an academic was in hospitality, events, and tourism. I've been a general manager in the hotels industry. I've been a conference and banqueting manager. I've been a conference planner. So it's a great honor for me to join you all here. Now, you did hear that I also have a flair for mind games, and I do. In my country, I have a TV show, and in it, I play the part of a mind reader. So if you haven't seen my TV show, I want you to know that that is deeply offensive to me. It's watched by almost 12 people every single week. And in it, I guess people's PIN numbers, I guess secret facts about them. There will be some of that in this talk, but if I pick you, I promise you, I won't embarrass you, I won't make fun of you, I won't reveal any deep, dark secrets that you wouldn't want your friends or colleagues to know about, unless they're hilarious, sir. He's still there, he's not moving. So only fair, though, that if I'm going to be reading your mind, I should tell you a little bit about me. You can tell from my accent, I'm from Northern Ireland. I'm from Belfast. I was born there. They're drunk. You know, last night, you call that a party. We call that breakfast. So I was... I was born in Northern Ireland in 1982 in a tiny little town called Rathfriland. If you'd like to know what Rathfriland looked like in 1982, then go there now. It's the same. I'm married to Elaine. I've been married to Elaine for her dad's farm. Elaine and I are what's called in Northern Ireland a mixed relationship. So if you don't know anything about our politics in Northern Ireland, a mixed relationship essentially means that I was raised a Catholic and she's going to burn in hell. Nothing to do with religion. She's just a truly horrible person, but you should see that farm. So most of my work is traveling, and in this session I'll show you how some very tiny changes to your psychology can make a really big difference to your ability to achieve results. But it's difficult to achieve results today because change is the only constant. Our ability to focus on what matters is increasingly difficult every year, and I can show you how difficult it can be to focus on your priorities as event and association professionals by trying a really simple test. In a moment, I'm going to play an awareness test. You will see two teams playing basketball. One team in white, one team in black. Your job will be to count how many times the team in white pass the ball. Now, on average, about 3% of the average audience have seen this before. So if you have seen it, please don't tell the answer to the person to your left or to your right. If you do that, that is cheating. And as a mind reader, I can make you wet the bed. That's one of my things. So I can make you stop if it's already a problem, sir. Look, he's still there. So 2 teams playing basketball, one in white, one in black. Count how many times the team in white pass the ball. Let's see. Oh, actually, do you know, before we do that, though, I think it's been an early morning. Let's warm you up first. Everyone stand up for me. Stand up, stand up. Already wish you stayed at home, I know. Follow my instructions. I want you to shake out both your hands. Now, as I look around the room, I can see quite a lot of very cheap fake tans, so try not to touch anyone as you're doing this. Take your left hand, put it behind your back for me. Right hand in the air, shake it like a Polaroid. Now, imagine someone comes in late at this moment. I want you to do everything that I say. Make a circle with your thumb and index finger and place it against your chin for me. That's not your chin, that's not your chin. You can't move at the last minute, even if it is a big chin. This time, sit down for me and extend your right foot perfectly straight out in front of you. And spin that right foot in a clockwise circle. Now, as you're spinning it, don't stop spinning it. Take your right hand in the air and make a figure of 8. Now, look at your foot. Doesn't know what it's doing, does it? No. Stand up again for me. Stand up again. Think of the Weight Watchers points we're building. Shake out your hands again for me. And if you listen really carefully, you can hear why you shouldn't buy jewelry off the internet. Turn your hands so your thumbs are pointing down. Place one hand on top of the other and interlock your fingers. Now, the rules are don't unlock your fingers, don't bend your elbows, and don't let your arms drip or droop. And for the next 63 minutes, not really, without unlocking your fingers, turn your hands so your thumbs are pointing up. It's this until home time. No one? No? Okay, give yourselves a round of applause as you take a little seat. Now, what happened there? One of 2 things happened. I communicated 3 really simple pieces of information, and either you received too much information or you received too little. This happens every single time we communicate. We think we're good at communicating our priorities and objectives, but the truth is that we're not. And the quickest way to test this is with that awareness test. So you will see 2 teams playing basketball, one in white, one in black. How many times does the team in white pass the ball?
This is an awareness test. How many passes does the team in white make?
Go!
Raise your hand if you think there were 10 passes. Anyone for 10? We've one gentleman there for 10. Sir, as you look around the room, you can see you're wrong, but good effort. Raise your hand for 11. Anyone for 11? Yeah, anyone for 12? Anyone for 13? Hello, armpits. It is warm, isn't it? I agree. Anyone for 14? If you got 15 or above, please don't raise your hand. That does point to mental health issues. The correct answer...
The answer is 13.
Round of applause for those who got 13, I think. Well done, well done, well done. There's a lady there in the 4th row taking it slightly too seriously, literally fist pumping the air, starting to worry about your home life, if that's what you're celebrating here with us. It was literally just counting. So the correct answer was 13, but...
But did you see the moonwalking bear?
Now, same clip again. We're going to rewind it all the way back to the start.
Go!
The fact is, as our industries are changing, as your customers, client, and association expectations are changing, it becomes really difficult for us to focus on what matters. And that's what we're going to look at in this session. How can we increase your persuasiveness so that you can get your boards, your stakeholders, your clients to focus on what matters? If you know the right strategic decision for a stakeholder or partner of yours, how do you psychologically increase the likelihood of getting the word yes? And this is not about making people say yes to things. This is about increasing your likelihood of getting a yes if you know that it's the right strategic thing for them to do. And towards the end, we will look at the psychology of motivation engagement. I know so many of you rely on volunteers. How do we get them to create extraordinary result, not just one day, but every day. Now, for this to work, I do need someone to help me out to prove how simple it can be to influence decision-making. And I'm going to get these two gentlemen on the end of the row, this gentleman in the dark jacket and the gentleman behind him. Sorry to wake you, sir. If you could both help me, give them a round of applause as they make their way to the front. Now, I promise you, if you'd like to stand over here just beside the trap door, excellent. I promise you, I'm not going to embarrass you. What are you going to sing for us? No. You're going to be a microphone stand, so your job is to keep this nice and close to this gentleman's mouth. Say, hello, audience.
Hello, audience.
And your name is John. Everyone say, hello, John. John, I need you to make a really simple decision. If you could keep that nice and close, not asking a huge amount from you. So I'm going to have you make a decision. Now, we used to use this in the university as a random number generator. This is a dice. You're going to think of any number that you like on this dice, turn it so that it's on the top, and when you're happy that it's hidden, hide it underneath the cup so you know that I can't see. Now, make sure you think of the number. Don't just shake it. That makes it random. So I need you to make the, I can see it if you do it right in front of me. That makes it a little... I'm going to turn away. You're making this, I appreciate the help, John, but you're somewhat taking the challenge out of it. Now, John, when your number is on the top and hidden underneath the cup, give me a nice loud yo-ho. When you're happy that you've had a totally free choice, give me a nice loud yo-ho into the mic.
Yo-ho.
You should take that show on the road, John. Now, John, did this feel like a random choice?
I'm not sure.
Did it feel like I influenced you?
I'm not sure.
No? If you could keep that nice and close, you're starting to piss me off. So, John, do you remember the last thing I said as I turned away?
No.
No? You're just glad to be out of the house, aren't you, John?
I am, yes.
As I turned away, I said, make sure that it is a totally free choice.
Okay.
Make sure that it's a totally three choice. Be honest, John, did you go with the number 3?
No.
Did you not?
Yes.
John, everybody, let's hear for John. No. Sorry, did he really go for the number 3? Yeah, he did, yeah. Are you on medication, John?
I will be.
So we're going to do this again. That's a funny way to hand in your retirement, John. So, John, we're going to do this again, but this time, in decision-making, this is called the recency effect. We tend to gravitate towards the most recent piece of information because it feels better. So, different number this time, John. Make sure that you choose it, put it on the top, and when it's hidden, give me a nice loud yo-ho. Remember to think of it, John, and I won't use any numbers this time. I won't say anything out loud. Just go with whichever number is 6 in your head. And John, you should change your mind if 5 tried to influence you. Choose a number 4, whatever reason.
Yo-ho.
Oh, all right, settle down, John. Did this one feel random? Did it feel like I influenced you?
I think I got this one.
Okay, the only thing that I will say, John, as I turned away, I did scratch my head with one finger into the microphone. Did you go with the number 1?
Yes.
John, everybody, let's hear for John. Now, I'll be honest with you. That doesn't always work 2 times in a row. The fact that it did tells me that psychologically, John is what we call easy. So, John, we're going to do this one last time, but here's what's going on inside John's head. He wants to go with the number 2, then 4, then 2. That's because he thinks that I think that what he thinks is that he wouldn't have thought that, but he would have thought that. And that little smile confirms it. So, John, I'm going to turn away. Go with your last number. Turn it so that it's on the top, John. And when it's hidden, again, give me a nice loud yo-ho when you're happy for me to make a guess. And by the way, make sure that our colleague with the microphone can't see it either. It's important that you know that in case anyone thinks that he is a secret helper. But I promise you, if I did bring a secret helper, they'd be more helpful than him. So, John, give me a nice loud yo-ho.
Yo-ho?
Oh, all right, settle down, John. The only thing that I will say, 3rd time around, people almost always try to catch me out by going with the same number again, with the number 1 again. Be honest, John, you didn't do that, did you? Into the mic?
Yes.
He did. Let's hear for John, everybody. Well done, John. John, thank you so much. I really appreciate you helping out. Thank you. You've been a great help. Thank you so much. Let's hear it for my 2 helpers. So, how does that work and how can you use it? I'm going to show you how simple it can be to use this. And it starts with a really simple challenge. In a moment, you're going to talk to the person to your left and to your right. Just as we've done with John, I want you to imagine we're presenting a series of options. One of them is the one you want them to say yes to. This could be the one that's most profitable for you. Maybe it's the one that provides better impact for your stakeholders. Maybe it's the one that you know is the best strategic decision. It's a decision not just just for 5 weeks, it's a decision for 5 years. But you should present a series of options. If you place the one that you want in the right position, you are roughly 300% more likely to get a yes. So I want you to talk to the person to your left and to your right. What do you think? 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5? You have 20 seconds. Your time starts now. Off you go.
Dream, 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 dream. Dream, dream, dream when I want you. In my arms when I want you. And all your charms whenever I want you. All I have to do is dream.
All right, everyone, come back to me. I'll tell you the answer. The correct answer is number 3. Round of applause if you got number 3. Well done, well done, well done. Do you hear that? That's bitterness you hear in that applause. Oh, got the basketball one right too, did you? Good for you. Let me tell you why it's position number 3. Position number 1 is almost always a disappointment. You will never align with whatever their preconceived expectations were of the thing you were going to talk about. So we know in position number 1, they're comparing it against something that you cannot know. So don't place it in position number 1. Position number 2 is used as a point of education, but they tell themselves they'd be really bad decision makers if they made a decision so early. In position number 3, we know there are 9 psychological reasons why it's number 3, but the 2 most interesting are we can only really hold 3 pieces of information in our mind at one time. The minute that a 4th is introduced, we gravitate back towards number 3, but also they feel like subject experts in the area, and they feel like they're, from their bird's eye view, they can see clearly the decision to make, but you're too close to it. You're a little bit too involved. In position number 4, we've talked about, and in position number 5, they only remember somewhere between 5 and 7% of the information that you talk about. So always position number 3. Now, I get lots of questions about this. I mean, not here, obviously, but I'll tell you what they are. Some people say, what if I've got 7 or 8 or 9 options? Well, 3 is still the magic number. Some people say, what if I've only got 1 or 2? Well, make one up and put it at the start. They're not going to pick it anyway. Now, they do get a little more complicated. Let's say there is something that you know the person that you're talking to will hate. They are perhaps comparing you against another provider. Maybe if you are an association yourself, you're presenting to a board, and you know there's one element of your request that they will hate. They will be totally against. What is more persuasive? Do you take the bad news and put it early, or the bad news and put it late? If you get this right, you're somewhere in the region of 400% more likely to get a yes. But what do you think? 20 seconds in your group, your time starts now.
Dream, 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 dream. Dream, dream, dream when I want you. In my arms when I want you. And all your charms whenever I want you. All I have to do is dream. Dream, dream, dream when I feel blue in the night, and I need you to hold me tight.
All right, everyone, let's see. If you would pick the weaknesses early, raise your hands in the air. Like you just don't care, Ika. If you would put it late, raise your hands in the air. Oh, wow, we have a 50-50 split. Everybody say, ooh. It's like it's haunted in here. In my talks, when we have a split as close as this, it's traditional that we settle it with a tickle fight. So if you'd like to work away, go ahead. Well, the correct answer is always early, by placing the bad news early. Yes, well done, well done. You look like the most honest, reliable, transparent, trustworthy person. By placing the bad news early, you seem like someone who will always deal with the tough stuff. It makes you seem significantly more relatable. By placing the bad news early, you dramatically increase your likelihood of getting that yes. The research shows if you place the bad news at the end, it can feel like you have tried to hide it. By placing it at the end, it undermines not only that individual request, but some research shows the entire relationship up until that point. So always place it as early as you possibly can. I used this stuff when I proposed. She doesn't know we're married yet. Now this time, Imagine for a second, and this is a common one in the association industry, there are two possible investments. One is really large and one is really small. The big one is the strategic investment that will help you for the next 5, 7, maybe even 15 years. The small one is incremental. It will help you do your work for the next maybe 5 months to 3 years. What is more persuasive? Is it more persuasive to start with the big thing first, and then if you need to, retreat to the small one? Or start small, get engagement, get buy-in, get them saying yes, and then move to the big one? If you get this right, you're a little over 200% more likely to get a yes. So what do you think? 20 seconds in your group, your time starts now.
Dream, 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 dream. Dream, dream, dream when I want you. In my arms when I want you. And all your charms whenever I want you. All I have to do is dream.
All right, everyone, come back to me, come back to me. What do we think? If you would go with the big thing first, nice and high, big thing first, small thing first. We're evenly split again. Wow, this is like the Brexit vote. And that went well, didn't it? Now, we know that the truth is it's both of them, but in different circumstances. Shut up, you, don't boo me. I'll tell you what the circumstances are. If you're dealing with someone senior to you, so if you're approaching an association board, then always start with the big thing first. Why? Because people like to say yes. They want to say yes. When we say yes to another human being, we get a tiny little shot of endorphins, and endorphins feel amazing. But we know if you say no to a human being, you get an absence, a bankruptcy of that. And you're dramatically more likely to say yes to the next thing if it's a more affordable, more doable, more fundable solution. We know, however, if you are dealing with someone junior to you, it's so much more important that you start small. By starting small, they see your route of travel. They understand what co-authorship they have on the direction that you, the organization, and the business are taking. So start small, and you're dramatically more likely to get a yes if that person reports to you. So an example might be, Mary, I know you usually finish at 5 p.m. on Wednesday, but we're coming up to the end of the quarter. We've got some research to pull together, some final figures that we need to assimilate. Could you give me 15 minutes after work? I would really appreciate it. If we tried to do this during the daytime at work, it would take 2 hours, but 15 minutes after work will get it done. You're starting small, and you're putting the bad news early. You're not hiding the fact that you're asking for discretionary effort. And we know that Mary is dramatically more likely to say yes if you start small. She understands why you're asking what you're asking for and what the impact of it is. So she'll say, yeah, okay, I will stay until 5:15. And when it gets to 10 past 5, say, sorry, Mary, it's gonna be 9:30. So start small, get bigger. I mean, no one's worried about Mary. We're basically trying to manage her out at this point anyway. So, by the way, if you don't have a Mary in your organization, it's you. You're the Mary. They're trying to manage you out. So let's say, and this is so fundamental, you have my word, this will change the way that you send every email, every text message. This will change the way that you ask for everything in your life from this moment onwards. You need someone to do something, buy something, or invest in a change. Is it more persuasive to highlight the benefits or the losses or dangers of not doing it? The benefits of yes or the losses or dangers of no? This will probably be the one that you apply more than anything else after this event, and your 20 seconds start now. Off you go.
Only trouble is, gee whiz, I'm dreaming my life away. I need you so that I could die. I love you so, and that is why whenever I want you, all I have to do is dream, 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 dream when I feel blue in the night and I need you to hold me tight whenever I want you. All I have to do is dream.
So, this, I promise you, is one of my favorites. Raise your hand if you would go benefits, benefits. Look around the room. Raise your hand, losses or dangers. Now, I do notice some of you didn't raise your hand there. If you think that this is because it depends on the situation, the circumstance, the scenario, or the person, that's an interesting answer. If that's your answer, raise your hand for me. Now, keep your hands in the air because that is an interesting answer. It's wrong, though. Put your hands down. The correct answer, and you will hate the answer, is losses or dangers. Because as human beings, we love bad news. Bad news is delicious to us. You could raise a fortune for cancer research on Saturday, run a marathon for motor neuron disease on Sunday. On Monday morning, all we hear about is a tragedy, and we talk about that all week. Bad news is sticky and adhesive. We love bad news. Bad news is 700% more likely to be remembered, retained, and acted upon. This started with the toothpaste industry. Now, because I work for the BBC, I can't mention any brand names, so I'll make one up. Let's call it Molegate. Some of you don't get it, never mind. They used to show this gorgeous 1950s housewife. It was chauvinistic, incredible white teeth, 2 children, husband, briefcase, bowler hat, hold up the product, gleaming white teeth, the whole family. And the implication was not just would you have teeth like this, but you would have this entire lifestyle. In the early 60s, they changed their tack. They showed someone with horrible, nasty, rancid teeth and said, if you don't use our product, you can get a mouth like this. And they became the market leader. And in many territories, they still are because we love bad news. And if you have children, you know this already. Hands up if you've got children. Some of you not sure. I can help you find out afterwards. There's a mind-reading thing I can do, but it's a different invoice. It's very effective, though. If you've got kids and you're at the park and you say, oh, Johnny, we've had such a good day at the park. I know, Johnny, if you put your coat on, get into the car, when we get home, I'll get you a little chocolate bar. What happens? Nothing. Johnny still stays at the bottom of the slide kicking the shins of the ginger girl that he's attracted to. And anyway, that's not what you say. None of you say that. What you actually say is, Johnny, we're leaving you here. Bye, Johnny. Bye. No, Johnny, you're going to be kidnapped. Have a lovely day, Johnny. Bye. We loved you, Johnny, but we will love again, Johnny. Bye. And you all made fun of that guy who left his kid. Do you remember he left his son in the forest in Japan? Do you remember that? We've all done that. The only difference is we've done it in supermarkets and not in the actual forest. And I can assure you, some of the supermarkets in Ireland, it's more dangerous than the forest. The fact is, losses or dangers do motivate us. But how do we use this in an ethical way? I am part of your industry. I speak at 100 association events a year, and I know that that's not part of your ethics. I know that you don't like to persuade people to do things just because it's right for you. It has to be right for everyone. We know the most effective way to do this is to, instead of saying, well, if you don't do what I recommend, you're screwed, which of course feels like scare tactics. Instead, if you take the losses or dangers, so if you don't make this decision about our event, if you don't invest in this application, if you don't have this early bird on sale at this point, if we don't choose this venue, then these are the unique set of benefits that we get with going with that. But if we don't choose it, we will not get those unique set of benefits. So take the benefits and position them as benefits lost. We know that that is every bit as effective and 600 to 700% more likely to get a yes. So well done if you got some of those right. Round of applause for your team and your colleagues there if you got some of them. The next thing that I want to look at as we move into the third hour of my session is how we take these same psychological tools and use it to get better results, not just from ourselves, but from our team and the people around them. Almost everything that we know about the psychology of motivation starts with this guy. Out loud, anyone know who he is? A few of you showing your age, this is Roger Bannister. For decades, people tried to achieve the 4-minute mile. It seemed like an insurmountable, undoable thing. At the time, there were clinical papers that said human beings cannot travel at this speed. They cannot move at this velocity. The muscle will start to separate away from the bone. Nearly 3,000 attempts were carried out over 40 years, but in 1954, he achieved it. And it created a sensation. He was on the front page of every newspaper, on the top of every radio newsreel. It was extraordinary. But in the 2 years after he achieved it, nearly 300 other people did. What had changed? Nothing had changed. The world was still the same. The regimen was still the same. Color hadn't been invented until the 1990s. The only thing that had changed was their expectation as to whether or not this thing could be achieved or not. And the impact of it was huge. So I want to show you how to use that same technique now to create extraordinary, and I mean truly extraordinary results from your teams and your individuals. And if we had much longer, I would spend more time on looking at how we embed this across your organization. But this is a simple exercise that creates immediate results. In your little groups of 2 and 3 people, I need you to think of one key challenge, one thing that would help you do your work better. One thing that if you had a bottomless pit of time, money, experience, or expertise, what's the first thing that you would fix that would help you change the way that you deliver for your stakeholders? You need to have one each in your little informal group that you've been having conversations with so far. Make sure that you have one each and have it in a little circle, so you're only going to get about 20-30 seconds for this. Start with the person in your group who's got the shortest hair. Your time starts now. Go.
I'm dreaming my life away. I need you so that I could die. I love you so, and that is why whenever I want you, all I have to do is dream, 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 dream when I feel blue in the night.
All right, everyone come back to me. You just need to share one sentence each. And here's what I need you to do. In a second, you're going to pick just one of those challenges and make sure you carry out the following. In your little group, I want you to come up with all the reasons why this cannot be solved. You must not come up with a solution. Start every sentence with no because and say, no because we don't have the money, no because we don't have the time, no because our competitors would already move in front of us. Start with no because, no because, no because. Do not skip anyone out. Move in a circle. Start with the person in your group whose eyes are closest together. Go.
Is dream, 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 dream. I can make you mine, taste your lips of wine, anytime, night or day. Only trouble is, gee whiz, I'm dreaming my life away.
All right, everyone, come back to me. Come back to me. Now, we're doing this a little quicker than normally, so usually I would give that a little more time. But how did that feel? It's terrible, isn't it? It's soul-destroying. That's exactly what it feels like to be married. If you're still single, run now. Unless there's a farm, what's the point? I know you think that this is a manufactured exercise, but it isn't. The research shows us this is how we deal with 65% of the challenges or opportunities that land on our desk every day. Our default position is to say, no, right now is not the right time, but maybe 12 months from now we'll be better equipped, we'll have more time, we'll have more resources, my whole life will be better, I'll go to the gym every morning, my employees, my colleagues, they'll be nicer, my farm will be so much bigger. We convince ourselves that the future is better, but the only time to do anything about anything is right now, today. So I want you to flip your conversation now. This time, start with that same challenge and start every sentence with yes and. I want you to come up with as many ridiculous, stupid, unusual, unfundable solutions as you possibly can. Keep moving. Yes and if we did a joint venture with our competitor. Yes and if we approached the government for funding. Yes and if we shared leads across venues, or maybe as associations, if we did group buying together, maybe the results would be bigger. I want you to keep moving. Yes and, yes and, yes and. Start with the person in your group who has the hairiest hands. Go. That's a couple of the ladies. Sorry, ladies.
Only trouble is, gee whiz, I'm dreaming my life away. I need you so that I could die. So, and that is why whenever I want you, all I have to do is dream, 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 dream.
All right. right, everyone, come back to me, come back to me. Now, I am conscious that, again, we're moving through this quite quickly. Usually I would give you 3 or 4 minutes on that. But we know that that yes and approach, you come up with far more volume of ideas. You engage and invest in it mentally and cognitively more effectively. We know that your brain works better during that yes and approach. Now, of course, you're going to come up with some really ugly solutions in the haystack that you're going to create of bad ideas. But we know the science shows us that you're much more likely to find a golden needle inside that ugly haystack, because on the left-hand side, this is how the brain looks when you do that no because. It physically starts to work less effectively. It reduces its temperature slightly, and when it does, it really impacts your ability to do your best results. But on the right-hand side, that yes and approach, your brain slightly increases in temperature, and it becomes a dramatically better tool for solving problems, for dealing with the tough stuff that lands on your desk every single day. But more than that, it creates neural pathways that changes the way your brain works. It creates connections, joints, and little roadways that did not exist. Whichever one of these you institutionalize, those joints, those new neural pathways, when you take that yes and approach, they become permanent. You and your team become opportunity and solution-seeking machines, and it pervades everything that you do. We all, as professionals, need to ask ourselves every once in a while, where do we sit on this continuum? Do we sit in the yes and or the no because? Your attitude, your mindset is contagious. We need to ask ourselves, is yours always worth catching? There are so many examples of this being done really well. Where are our friends in Russia? Give us a cheer if you're here from Russia. Good, I'm glad I asked. That was a very Russian cheer. We know that Russia really wanted to host the World Cup, but they didn't have a venue, a stadium that had enough seats. So they took a yes and approach to solving this. And they built a stadium, a grandstand. They knocked the entire side out of their stadium and built a grandstand with thousands and thousands of seats. They built it over roads, over shops, over houses. It was a very Russian solution. But they did this because they took the yes and approach, and it solved the challenge for them. This is Jamie Dupree. For any of our friends from the United States, you'll know that he is one of the most successful syndicated radio hosts. A number of years ago, he developed a serious issue with his throat. This issue with his throat meant that his voice disappeared. He had a 30-year broadcasting career, and it was over within a matter of months. But his team took a yes and approach to the challenge that they were facing. They didn't want their jobs, their career, their business to end either. So they asked him to write some blog articles, but they weren't really for a blog. Unbeknownst to him, what they had done was taken 30 years worth of his voice recordings from all of his shows, put it into a piece of software that chopped up every single word. They took the blog post that he was writing today, paired it with the voice of his from yesterday, and now his show is as popular as it has ever been. It's a huge success and a huge impact of the yes and approach. How often are you taking the yes and approach to the tough stuff that lands on your desk every day? My team and I challenged ourselves a few years ago to come up with a yes and approach. My son, a few years ago, lost the use of his hands, so he can't write, he can't pick things up anymore. We found a great organization that manufactures prosthetic hands for the third world. They're very simple, but they're very effective. So my team and I took the yes and approach, and we turned it into an activity that organizations do at their conferences and at their team building days. So they build real clinical prosthetic hands. These aren't toys, these aren't games or training devices. The teams get together and build them, and weeks later we distribute them to the third world. We've distributed over 1,000 hands so far. It's a really special thing that we're really passionate about. Thank you so much. It's because for us, it's CSR with a real legacy, with a real impact. This lady's 32 years of age. She received her hand that morning. This was the first time that she has ever eaten unaided without the assistance of anyone else. This little boy left riding a bicycle, which was really extraordinary. This girl traveled 750 kilometers to receive her hand. Imagine how far 750 kilometers is in your country, and then imagine how far it is in India. So we do this in Uganda, Cambodia. This yes and approach has really changed the way that we run our business. The fact is, we live up to and down to our own expectations of ourselves. Convince yourself that, oh, well, this is how we do things around here, or this is how we do things. Sometimes we let habit, tradition, experience get in the way. And when we're doing it, we're shrinking our results. We're shrinking the zone and the space within which we and our people can perform. Our job as event and association professionals is to take the sphere within which we perform and make it bigger, not smaller. But often we are accidentally making it smaller. We're shrinking our expectations, we're shrinking our results, and as a consequence, we're shrinking the impact of our events. We did this experiment 9 times in a row. The circle kept getting smaller and smaller, and every time the ant stayed on the inside. At the end, it died. It was hilarious, really funny. Only joking. Only joking. Don't complain. The ant is fine. So this yes and approach affects how we deal with good news, bad news. It affects how you deal with success and failure. It affects how you deal with conflict. Now, if you would like to have any of the information from this talk, any of my slides or anything from this presentation, if you send a quick email to the email address learn@davidmead.co.uk, you will receive all of the slides back. You'll receive everything here so that you can share it with your team. I want you to share all of this information if you can. You'll receive it automatically. But I want you to imagine for a moment, look around this room. There's thousands of people here, all delivering their event and associations across the world. Imagine if you all took one small thing from my talk today and applied it. The collective impact of us coming together a few years from now would be huge. So I want to try one last experiment along that line. And I'm going to get these 2 gentlemen here in the 3rd row at the end, the gentleman in the red tie who now wishes he was invisible, and the gentleman beside him, if you could tap him. Give them both a round of applause as they make their way to the front. Hello, sir. Hi there, sir. What is your name?
I'm Daniel.
Daniel. Everybody say hi, Daniel. And your name, sir, is?
Andreas.
Everybody say hi, Andreas. Now, we haven't met before, set anything up or pre-prepared anything, have we? No, I've got the wrong Andreas. Is there another Andreas? No, just kidding. Daniel, I've got a really easy job for you. Where are you from in the US? Oh, beautiful. Oh, well, we can't wait to see you next year. I want you to think of a 2-digit number. Now, Daniel, it's got to be between 30 and 99. Have you got one? Stay over there. Don't overstate your part in this, Daniel. So between 30 and 99, have you got one? Now, if you think I already know what this number is, then you've got to change your mind, because your number isn't a secret. You'll show it to me in a second. But maybe you'll think that everyone thinks of the same number. Maybe you'll think that it's always the same one, and that would be irritating if I'm able to guess it, because here's what's going to happen tonight. You're going to get into bed, your head's going to hit the pillow, and you're going to think of me. You will. And you're going to wonder, does everyone think of the same number? Or you're going to think, maybe David set up ICCA years ago just to get you right now. That's right. And these are all my cousins, Daniel. And you're the only one legitimately here. It's not even going to Houston next year. That's all just a ruse. Just to get you right now. I do, actually. I do, Daniel. I'm going to hypnotize you so I get booked. So Daniel, it's between 30 and 99. You're going to write it really big and clear inside this box, then fold it twice so that it's on the inside, all right? So I'm going to give you that. Make sure that I don't see it just yet. Remember, Daniel, it's not a secret. You will show it to me shortly, but not yet. Let me know when it's safe to turn around, Daniel. Excellent. Now, I want you to give me the little card. I want you to check. Are you happy that this isn't transparent? There's no way to see through it. Also check and make sure that there is no transmitter inside the marker. If you think there is, you're overstating the Copenhagen, Denmark budget for this talk. So you're going to hang on to all of this. So which hand do you prefer? Which hand do you write with? I'm going to try and guess your number. And the way we're going to do this is you're going to count from 99 downwards, and I'm going to try and work out what your number is, okay? So you're going to face the front and give nothing away. Andreas, you're going to stand here for me, face the back of the stage, and you, Andreas, are going to be a flip chart. Excellent. So I'm going to make a series of guesses as to what the number might be. And whenever you're ready, Daniel, start counting from 99 downwards. Go. Out loud, otherwise only I can hear.
99, 98, 97, 96, 95, 94, 93, 91, 90.
That's okay. You do it in your
89.
own order, Daniel.
Okay. 88, 87, 86, 85, 84, 83, 82, 81. Say 9.
And Daniel, if you can
76.
continue putting just as little effort, energy, and feeling into it as
Okay,
possible. Keep going.
I will. 74, 73, 72, 71, 69, 68, 67, 66, 65, 64, 63, 62, 61, 59,
If
58,
anyone has insomnia, if you'd like to speak to
57,
Daniel on the way out, he'll prepare a little recording. Keep going, keep going.
57, 56, 55, 54, 53, 52, 51, 50, 49, 48, 47, 46, 45, 44, 43, 42, 41, 40, 39, 38,
And you can
37,
go as quick as
36,
you like.
35, 34, 33, 32,
Or the
31,
same speed,
30.
Daniel, up to you. I don't mind. Keep going, keep going, keep going.
You say 30.
Oh, yeah, did you finish at 30? Daniel, everybody. Let's hear it for Daniel. Well done. So, Daniel, don't react when I show you this. I think I know what Daniel has done. I think Daniel has either misunderstood the rules and gone under 30 by accident, or he has deliberately gone under 30 because he thinks it would be funny if I got it wrong. And if you have done that, I can tell you, as a mind reader from Belfast, I predict 20 minutes from now you'll be found in the trunk of my car. So I know that his number is here, but I'm just not sure which one it is. So statistically, his number is more likely to be on the top row. 11, 14, 5, or 26. Yes or no, is it there?
No.
Okay, slightly less likely to be on the second row. 4, 27, 10, or 15. Is it there?
No.
No need to take quite so much joy in that, Daniel. Is it on the third row? 28, 7, 12, or 9?
No.
You're starting to irritate me, Daniel. 13, 8, 29, or 6. Is it there?
No.
Do you Shh, shut up, you clapping. Do you definitely understand the rules? Yeah?
I do.
So what number you did go under 30, did you? Let me see, what number did you go for? 56. Did you almost go with a number under 30?
Almost.
Oh, you did almost?
No, I didn't.
Thank you.
Well, it is what it is.
I didn't get it. Let's hear it for Daniel, everybody. Well done, Daniel. Thank you so much. Although, Daniel, for me, I did say, remember, this whole talk for me is about small changes. And if we all left this event with just one change, whether it's hold that up, I told you to hold it up, with just one contact, with just one connection, with just one thing that will improve the way that we work, the collective impact of that can be huge. So we should try that same theory here. Into the microphone. Your secret number was?
56.
Okay, for fun, Daniel, add up the top row for me one at a time. 11 plus 14 is?
25,
plus
30,
5
56.
is? Plus 26?
Wow.
Yeah, so the top row equals 56. Let's hear it for Daniel, everybody. Well done, Daniel. Thank you. But Daniel, hold on.
Oh, the second one.
ICCA is working at every level of the association industry
Wow.
to change the game. So let's try and do the second row. Daniel, one at a
31,
time.
41, 46, 56.
One at a time, Daniel. 4 plus 27 equals?
31,
And 10
41,
is, and 15
56.
is? Shut the front door. Let's try and do the third row. 28, 7, 12, and 9 equals?
35, 37,
13,
49.
8, 29, and 6. All the rows has secretly thought of
56.
number. Let's hear it
Ladies
for
and
Daniel,
gentlemen.
everybody. Well done, Daniel. But Daniel, hold on. ICCA is working from the top of the industry to the grassroots, so let's try and do the columns. Move your hand. 11, 4, 28, and 13, 14, 27, 7, and 8, 5,
ladies
10,
and
12, and 29,
gentlemen.
26,
Round of
50.
applause.
All the rows, all the columns has secretly
job,
thought of
man.
number. Let's hear it for Daniel. Good man. But Daniel, hold on.
like that.
ICCA is working all across the world, so let's try and do this diagonally. Sorry for your view at the front. You didn't deserve
11,
that.
27,
27, 12, and
16,
6, 26,
56.
10, 7, and 13. I'm very lonely. ICCA is working on all four corners of
That's
the world to
amazing.
make an impact. So any 4 squares that touch, these 4 equal 56, these 4 equal 6, these 4 equal 56, these 4 equal 66.
Pretty impressive, huh?
Your ability, someone cut his mic, he's pissing me off. Your ability to deliver for the associations that you care about most goes to the heart of what it is that makes you a dedicated event professional. That's why I've done the 4 in the middle, 27, 10, 7, and 12, and all 4 corners too, 11 plus 13, 6, and 26, all equal 56. Let's hear it for Houston and Daniel!
Thank you.
Thank you so much for helping. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Oh, I'd love to. Thank you so much. Excellent. There we go. And one more time for Andreas, everybody. Well done, Andreas. So, for me, that is what this event is all about. Lots of tiny changes, and I wish we had more time to deliver more content. But if you have any questions, please look me up on Twitter, LinkedIn, because I'm down with the kids. I'm always happy to help. Associations and events are an industry that I am so passionate about. I want to close with a couple of thanks, particularly to our friends in Denmark, Copenhagen. Thank you so much for your trust. Let's hear it for them. I also want to thank everybody at ICCA in the chapter in the UK who kindly had me at an event last year, all the Waterson team and beyond, and Team Belfast who had me there to speak as well. Without them, I wouldn't be here, so my huge thanks to them. Let's hear it for them. And finally, I wouldn't have a talk without the people who participate in it. I think we've got enough PowerPoint in our lives. The more interactive we can make it, the better. So the people who took part, I really appreciate it. I'm going to be here later on today. I've got a session now with our friends at Copenhagen, Denmark, for the next little while. And then I'll see you all at a coffee break at some point later. But for the time being, thank you so much for having me, ICCA. It's been a great honor, and I hope to see you all again soon. Enjoy the rest of your event, everyone.